Brabham to third place. The power of the new engine is a dominant factor, but on this circuit, power can be almost an embarrassment. On lap 2, Brabham leads from Hill, Gurney and Clark. A rather sparse crowd watches this tight circuit take its toll as Spence retires. Then, on lap 7, Clark gets the lead, but hope fades in the Lotus pit when Hill fails to appear on lap 14. Betty Hill is left timing for Clark, but only for the next 10 laps. Clark's final drive mechanism collapses, leaving the way clear for Brabham. Car development and actual race experience are one and the same thing. Jack Brabham and Denny Hulme take first and second in an otherwise not wildly exciting event.
Get this adjuster in the right place. Well, it's over to one side, but we can try it. Oh, we'll see what happens. Yeah. Let's get it in right. Put the cups in the right way. Yeah. Got the washers. Not swim my hand. Right.
From blueprint to build-up is one stage. But even the most confident of engineers approaches the first run of the engine in the dynamometer cell with some caution. One of the most remarkable features of this 3-litre 90-degree V8 engine was the fact that it was greater in width than length, 26.5 inches as opposed to 21.6. This very short power unit was designed to be an integral part of the whole chassis. Somehow, at Silverstone, everyone feels good from the start. The British Grand Prix ends the first series in the championship event and draws enormous crowds. Clark and Hill are in pole position again on the grid, with Brabham and a further 18 cars lined up behind. "24 sleepless hours by dedicated Lotus mechanics gave Hill a rebuilt car after an inexplicable crunch at practice. From the start, Hill piles into the lead, but is almost immediately taken by Clark. The field soon splits into two groups, with Clark and Hill running 1-2 from Hulme, Brabham, Eamon, and Gurney in his Eagle. It's a real racegoers' day, with fine weather for 130,000 spectators. Denny Hulme in the number 2 Brabham shows a clean line trailing the leaders Clark and Hill through Stowe, avoiding the oil thrown out by the unfortunate Jochen Rindt, who retires, his new 36-valve Cooper Maserati emitting strange noises early in the race. Hill suddenly grabs the lead and laps Surtees in the Honda to the restrained delight of the Lotus pit. The moment of triumph is short-lived, for he sheds a bolt at Stowe and comes wobbling into the pit with a distinctly modified suspension. Clark again in the lead, and when Hill restarts, he's down to number 9 in the field. Hill shoots off at a cracking pace to retrieve valuable seconds, but the lapboard tells the story. Bruce McLaren into the pits, and Graham Hill's return is short-lived, as he too calls it a day.
Pits, there was a rather nasty noise just behind my left ear, and I switched the engine off on the way I don't know what Mrs. Barbara Carter would have said. Anyway, we got the car here, and I'd like to thank them publicly for giving me such a wonderful car.
Jim Clark is now approaching his final lap, and all are willing him to the checkered flag. This is the moment shared by thousands and relished by the Ford and Lotus camp. The intoxication of a popular win. Above all, it's the moment for two men. Jim Clark and Colin Chapman.
Yeah, I think that we could get the load, actually, from the skin into the mounting fairly well if we can fix this under that panel and get the flange in between the finished skin and the bulkhead. We can carry the load direct through a single line of rivets here. That's if we haven't got too far ahead with the outer skin.
Well, I think I'd better check out and see what the panel looks like.
Yeah, have a look and see what it looks like.
South Africa and Monaco were already on the record books when this refined piece of engineering skill came to the Lotus factory. Here it was to link with the car. Colin Chapman and his men had but a few weeks to the first time out. Time was at a premium.
Let's see if it all goes together now. Come on. Oh, dearie me. Steady. Steady. Down a bit, Doug, yeah. See if it'll motor car.
I hope so.
So do I. Yeah, that's fitting well. Beautiful. Yep, that's the job. Lovely. Well, Dick, now we get to the interesting bit. We bolt the engine onto the car, as you can see.
Yes.
And now we bolt the rest of the suspension on the back of the engine. because the engine itself is forming part of the structure of the car.
Right.
And, of course, it holds it all together. Now, if we can get that mounted on there, get those picking up on those bolts, and hang the rear suspension on the back there, we've got a complete structure right through the car. Well, that's fine. Now, if we can get the other side on there, Doug, and then we'll hang the rear suspension on, get it all mounted up, get it down, because we want to be testing in 2 days, and see if it all hangs together. Fine.
On practice day at Nürburgring, Hill's car fails to negotiate a corner and changes shape. Lotus carry a spare.